Morning, friends. I should say good day. Just want to tell you, things aren't all that rosy sometimes. Let me explain. When you have a job outside and it's minus 150 degrees, no, not that much, but it's, let's say it's cold. I'll tell you, cold just by temperature is not the same thing all over the place. Like if I go, like we're going to talk in Celsius, that's what we have here in Canada. If I go minus 25 degrees Celsius here, and I go up north where my daughter lives, I could go minus 35 degrees. And it's not as cold up there as it is here. Where we live, we're just off a river and it's quite wide, and windward picks up a lot of humidity off the river, and it's the humidity that gets to you, eh? Not, well, the cold gets to you, but you can always dress for the cold, but you can't dress for the humidity. The humidity will get to you right through your, even if you have that much clothing, it'll get right through that. Through the years, I'm not this, I wanted to say this too. And I didn't do this video to complain about the cold, or having worked in the cold, or had jobs that I had to work in the cold. When I started the trade, and when I got my license, I knew there was instances where I had to work outside, and you don't get to pick the days. I just want to say instances, where now I reflect and I just think of these days, and weeks, and I've had, and how I count myself lucky I'm indoor in the heat. One job comes to mind. I won't talk about the job per se, but it was a job. We started there in it was autumn, late autumn, and this job lasted till a good part. We were in March when we got done, and it was in a field. Okay, you know how wind sweeps the snow in a field, and well, we're right in a field. What this was, it's an old dump, and they had to capture all the, I don't know, the juices. They had built a tile bed along the river, and they had reservoirs, and all the juices that were coming out of the dump would be captured in the tile bed and then go to these tanks, and these tanks would pump the liquid up to a holding tank at the top, and then they'd come every day. The municipality would come and empty these tanks. It was they had to build a system, because other than that they would have had to excavate all the old dump and take out all the different contaminants, whatever they be, whether it's metal or rust or it was just, but anyways, it was all done in the coal, and they didn't have a budget to have a trailer and heat in the trailer, and I seen like some days it was so cold, it was just me and two other guys working there, and we'd take turns, I'd be using my truck to heat up. You know, like when you sit in the vehicle and you're frozen, and then you go back outside, and electrician's job is not a job for big mitts or gloves, You work outside in your bare hands most of the time, You're lucky if you can wear gloves. But anyways, that was one of the cold ones. Another cold one was, it's on a dam, and the wind comes off of the river, and it doesn't matter. It has to be warm in order to feel the warmth. And we worked there for lots of months, and you never get used to the cold, eh? It just something that you deal with. Yeah, it's something you deal with. And in retrospect, there was one time, I'm just gonna tell you this. We were, me and another guy, okay? And it was minus 40 some degrees C. But if you do the translation, I think it's minus 40 some Fahrenheit too. Somewhere around in the 40s there, I think it transitions one's the same as the other. Anyway, we're we're working, we're doing the installing some lights, okay, outside, and these lights have to be shining on the parking lots, eh? And we're installing. There's one specific one there. It's right in the blast of air, eh? Well, they call that a genie boom, eh? It's so cold. We're taking turns to, eh? One guy in the truck, one guy in the genie boom. It's so cold that the oil, or it's the aluminum, I don't know, it's either one of the two, but to retract or extend the boom there, it goes in jerks, eh? No smoothness at all, eh? Because it was starting to seize up. It was so cold, and these are battery machines, eh? We had taken it from inside, take it outside, and it was about an hour job, eh? But we had to rush, eh? Because the machine was starting to seize up. I guess maybe condensation in the oil and condensation everywhere. But that's little things, eh? When you're dealing with the cold, eh? So we don't choose where we're born. I guess we could move. But here in Canada, the only place we can go that's not that bad is around Vancouver. But it rains so much there that I don't know. I'll stick it here. And plus, I spent some time, like I went down south Florida at Christmas time, and it's I don't know. It's maybe just because we're used to the snow and the cold. Not the same. I didn't like it down there, especially during Christmas. There, didn't really. I know around February, like the end of February or something like that. And then being down there is not that bad. I can take the heat. A few weeks out of the winter there usually does the trick. It takes the edge off of winter, let's say. But some people never go south. Like, they never go on trips down south. And they survive here. I've, in the last years, I think 2 years now, I haven't gone down south. And because of, anyways, I don't want to tell you my life story. But I haven't gone down south, and it's par for the course. It's all right. I don't complain. But it's just when you go outside, you gotta dress up. And as far as dealing with the snow and all that, well, you have to have the right equipment. Eh? Like I have a long driveway me here, and if you just got a little, they call that a shovel, a snow shovel, snow blower, the little impeller, and you plug it in. Bah, you're not going nowhere with that. Like my little machine's 4 foot wide. I can move snow with that. Well, at the most, if I had a big cleanup there, max at an hour, probably less than that. If I clean everything like 100%. That's dealing with the cold. Dealing with heat, now that's another story, eh? Because we have, here where I live, we have both extremes, eh? And plus, in the work environment, well, there's stories about that too. But that's for another day. It wasn't to complain about the cold, it was just to say that sometimes we talk about how cold it is, but we don't realize like how cold some people get it. And then we count ourselves lucky. Like, what came to mind is I seen a few weeks back, I seen a old Schneelock, and he's talking about these Gull Lake, not a dam, it's a spillway that they're building, and there's just a little bit of snow on the ground, and it's not really that cold, and they're pouring cement. Well, if they're pouring cement, it's not that cold. I seen me pour cement, and they had to put 2 blankets, and they had to add heat around the cement, and they had calcium in the cement. So just imagine that. So, and I spent, in my younger days, I spent winters outside. Oh, I wanted to see this. You know what a real bad spot is? We used to work, they call that cable ducts. It's aluminum ductwork that brings electricity in a high rise from one floor to the next, eh? And these are all plug-in, but they're all spades, eh? And they all come together like that, and then there's 4 bolts or 6 bolts, and you gotta put the bolts and the washers and the nuts in, and then you gotta torque those, eh? And you don't forget none because everything counts, eh? And this is aluminum. Well, in my younger days, it used to be copper bus duct, but now it's just aluminum. Copper is too expensive to make them out of that. But yeah. Anyways, cold. These bus ducts go up one floor to the next, eh? And yet, but anyways, I won't tell you all the details about the bus duct. But let's say you're on the 20th floor, eh? And the air comes from way afar, eh? And it just comes through the building, eh? There's no walls, there's no nothing. You're there. And you try and put the wind to your back. We used to even have big cardboards, eh? And we'd take a few blocks with a chunks of wood, and we'd build ourselves a little bit of a wind deflector where we'd be working, eh? My God. Hey, the worst thing, eh, is when you leave home, you spend the night, eh? Well, you don't have too much of a problem falling asleep, I'll tell you that, when you work outside in the cold all day. But anyways, the next morning when you wake up, yeah, do all you have to do, and you get in your vehicle, and you know you're going to the job. And what are you facing? You're facing another day on the floors, in the wind, and the cold. And I don't know, for some reason it seems like it was colder in them days than it is now. Anyways, spilled enough beans for now. I'll try to do another one and tell you how there's hot and then there's too hot. And just to tell you that some instances where one has to work when it's really hot is not too comfortable. But that's for another day. Okay, don't forget, folks, these are just the normal ones, The good ones they're ahead, I know there's some people that they seem to think that there was some good ones behind us, but the big better ones, they're all ahead. I enjoyed doing this. I hope you enjoyed looking at it. It's cold out there, and we don't feel like doing too much work, so it's story time in Gator's Garage. So don't forget, you give comments, and I try to give non-generic answers. And as usual, we'll see you in the next one.